And what's up, Twitter? Hang out for a second while YouTube spins up as usual.
Right.
All our Twitter peeps are always sitting here waiting for YouTube.
Yeah. That's funny.
There we go. There's YouTube. Awesome. What's up, YouTube?
What's up,
hey guys?
What's
welcome
up,
back
guys?
to another episode of the Crypto Campfire podcast. This is the Professor.
And Mitch.
And today we're talking with Erick from Art Blocks. He is the founder of Art Blocks, which is possibly the most exciting NFT platform, in my opinion, right now, because I'm totally stoked about on-chain art and using code for it. But before we get into that, let's grab that crypto news from Mitch.
And today's crypto news comes from Paul, the crypto curator. Welcome to Thursday, folks. Big news of the day is that leading Israel asset manager, I can't pronounce this right, Altur Shaham, pours $100 million into Bitcoin. Altcoin Daily covers 9 altcoins with unbelievable potential in March and April. And listen to NLW as he explains why the CEO of New York Life just joined the board of one of the Bitcoins. I think he means one of Bitcoin's fastest growing companies, NYDIG. Sylvan explains the 11 most popular Bitcoin memes. Go down the rabbit hole. So if you guys are interested in seeing that crypto news ahead of time, join our Campfire Telegram. And Paul is amazing. He posts these news snippets every day religiously without fail in that chat group. So by all means,
next question is, how do we get the flair of the crypto gent on the live stream? But that's the topic for another day,
right?
We'll have to drag him out of the
I'll have to work on that, peeps. I'm not quite ready for that conversation, but I'll work on it. Definitely.
You'll work on it. All right.
I can't quite do the gent, but I can do
it's something. Close enough. It's close enough. All right, let's dig into this. I'm stoked to get going on this. Erick, what's going on, man? Welcome to the show.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on here.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one, that's for sure. I first discovered Art Blocks back when Pixel Queen had released their, what was it called? Refresh my memory here.
The first one? Dynamic Slices?
Yes, Dynamic Slices. I remember seeing that on their Twitter, and I was like, okay, cool. I didn't realize at first that it was, on-chain art right away. And so I went and looked at the Art Blocks platform, and I started looking into it and was like, oh, this is my thing. I'm a developer and artist, like it's just all up my alley. So I fell head over heels into it, started looking into it. And why don't we go back in time a little bit? I'm just kind of curious, before we get into the platform, when did you actually get into crypto yourself and how did that come about?
I got in crypto. I think I bought my very, very first crypto / Bitcoin the last week of 2016 and spent like New Year's Eve of 2016-17 trying to get to 1 Bitcoin. And it was just like this weird obsession that I had to end up with 1 Bitcoin. And I think they were like $900 maybe at the time, somewhere in that range. I got into it 2017. I started diving into smart contracts really soon afterwards. And I've been around ever since. I haven't really stopped.
This is that brief awkward pause. So you never stop. That's pretty cool. It's like most people make that a goal of theirs, right? Everybody wants to try and at least get to 1 Bitcoin.
So I have 0 Bitcoin now, which is really kind of, people are always like, because they know I got really into it, and they're like, how many Bitcoins do you have? And I'm like, I literally at this point have zero Bitcoin, which is
it's just all Ethereum now, yeah.
It's Ethereum. I actually sold. I got to buy into another platform by selling the last of my Bitcoin, 2.2 Bitcoin, I guess, last year, to buy into a new project that I thought was pretty cool. And and I haven't really looked back. And I think Bitcoin's amazing, and I think it's going to rule the world. It's so hard paying 50-something thousand bucks for it, no matter how much ETH or however much you have. It just doesn't.
I hear you.
It's hard.
It's a totally different use case too. Ultimately, than Ethereum. It's a lot of people classify it as competition, but realistically, it's two totally different things. And I think it's important to hold a little bit of each one. Mostly, I have Ethereum at this point, just because I'm just so far deep in the NFT world that I can't not have Ethereum. What am I going to do? I can't do anything.
Yeah.
That's not true. There's a lot of platforms that are rocking off of Ethereum, but everything that I'm interested in is stuck on Ethereum. So here I am paying gas fees out my ass, and I don't even care. It's just
and myself, I'm still contemplating whether I want to buy into this cryptocurrency fake internet money thing.
What is cryptocurrency? Never heard of this before.
Right?
No. All right. So let's talk about art blocks a little bit. How did that come to be? Where did the idea for that come from specifically, and what kind of inspired the on-chain art?
Literally claiming my CryptoPunks.
Really?
I read the article to claim CryptoPunks, and I was blown away by it. It's something that I had been kind of thinking about in terms of just the concept of something being non-fungible blew my mind. And there was talk about that obviously before CryptoPunks came out, right? The difference between most of crypto, which is fungible shit coins, and then this concept of like a non-fungible thing. So I was claiming my CryptoPunks, and I claimed a bunch of zombies, 34 of them. And I felt pretty selfish for claiming all of the fancy ones. There was no apes left. All the aliens were gone. So somebody came before me and claimed all of those. And so I didn't feel super selfish. But literally as I'm claiming them, I'm thinking like, I know blockchain can provide all of the information to do this in a more egalitarian way. Like there's no reason why I should be able to do this. There's all the tools in a smart contract to let me click claim, and the contract produces the punk that I got. So if I claimed, even if it was, fair distribution back then, because there was only maybe 100 nerds, running their ETH wallet, like syncing their wallet to execute a manual smart contract transaction to claim an imaginary 8-bit character. Like it felt like if I got to press a button and I was presented with my punk, and if one of those was a zombie, I probably would have been even more excited than the fact that I, kind of ended up picking all of the zombies up myself.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's kind of exciting. I love how it was inspired from the punks there, because that was really I wasn't around at the time as far as in the NFT. I was in the crypto space, but I wasn't in the NFT world yet when punks were first the thing being claimed. And so I didn't get to go through that, but it was definitely like the original, like before we have smooth tools, it was kind of the early days of just cluster fucking your way around, trying to get stuff to work. And now, we're at that point. We always talk about how mass adoption requires such, phenomenal UI and UX advancements that people can just use everything without really realizing that they're using the blockchain, and we're still not there yet, but we're so close. NFTs they're so close to mainstream right now. It's almost sickening in a way.
It's a little crazy. I mean, I've got people reaching out by email that I'm just like, wait, what's that email address? Like, there's some pretty crazy things that are happening, but yeah, no, I mean, back then, if you think about just how crazy crypto was already, it's like I had just gotten into it 6 months prior, and it was already just crazy, mind blowing. I remember I would like snapshot my Blockfolio, send it to my wife, like, once or twice a week, just kind of blown away by what was happening with coins and all that. And then all of a sudden it's like, I'm claiming these punks. I probably spent $35-$40 claiming those punks, and it felt like exciting and exhilarating and groundbreaking. But I was like, am I really like spending money on this at the same time?
Because just spend real money on like pictures. Like
it's so confusing, back then, especially, it's like you're just kind of like living this crazy crypto madness. So today it seems even crazier, right? But back then it was a pretty interesting experience.
Yeah, I love just all the evolution, just watching how fast everything changes in this space. It's phenomenal, to say the least.
Yeah, and I'd say anybody that claimed CryptoPunks probably had a little bit of an advantage when CryptoKitties came out, and was able to probably kind of jump into that a little bit faster. I definitely made my first like real amount of ETH in CryptoKitties, right? Because I'm not one to sell my punks very often. I just started selling them last year because I wanted to realize real like objects in the real world for the first time. But no, I definitely like bought a Gen 0 kitty and flipped it for 10 ETH, and my mind was absolutely blown. And that was a couple months after CryptoPunks.
Wow, that's crazy. That is totally crazy. I'm kind of like, I'm not embarrassed by the fact, but it's almost like me coming into cryptocurrency, right? I came in 2018 a little late and a little behind the eight ball. And even though my partner is 100% like face dive into NFTs, I'm still trying to catch up. And so it's okay. It's a fun learning curve for me. And, by having so much involvement in so many different aspects of the space, and with so many different people and communities, it's challenging to keep up with everything. So I do the best I can, and that's why we're partners, because he's got his strengths, I got mine, and yeah.
What you're saying is I'm a fucking nerd, and it's perfect.
Well, I'm becoming a nerd, so I guess that's kind
You're
of
getting there.
thing.
We're about to have an AT.
Dude,
NFT.
Nerds are powerful. Did you not see the movie Nerds? I mean, come on.
I don't need to see the movie. I am a nerd.
Never
I am
underestimate anybody.
The nerd space here is pretty significant, I have to say. I mean, even the creators of the CryptoPunks, I have to say there has to be something there. They used to make 8-bit video games. It's like they literally are just yelling to all of us nerds, being like, please come check out what we're doing.
Yeah, it's so awesome. I know that I've been thinking about so many different ways of like using smart contracts in unexpected and creative ways to like come up with some sort of new way of presenting art digitally. Like obviously the issue is getting new data into a smart contract, right? Like pulling information in from a smart contract is extremely difficult to an extent. And so that's where like things like art blocks and async, while they're totally different in how they operate, like some sort of middle ground is kind of where I was initially fascinated with before I even, found these projects. It's just something where you can have art that updates based on an external data set.
Whoa.
We lose power?
Yeah, hold on a second. There we go.
There we go. Nice. But yeah, just
they must be onto you. They cut your power.
They found it.
Yeah,
I
guess I haven't really moved very much in the room. But yeah.
We should have kept this live stream on the hush hush.
Right? Yeah. Either that or we should do calisthenics while we're doing it so his lights stay on.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to move to a much less exciting view.
Right on.
Yeah.
There you go. That's all good.
So all right, so that is a pretty deep dive into the NFT space and how you got in. And so in the crypto space in general, and I know it's challenging because NFTs are like the middle of the dive pool that you're in, but when you step back and you look at cryptocurrency and the space as a whole, is there any other projects or any other advances that you've seen recently that have really sparked your interest, like say DeFi, for example, or projects that work within the DeFi realm?
Yeah, I mean, I actually tried to participate a little bit in DeFi middle of last year, and I had a lot of fun with it. I wasn't necessarily financially successful because I was frightened at how easily people put money into either just barely audited or completely unaudited smart contracts, and then I saw people lose a bunch of funds and DeFi applications, not because the project failed, but because of smart contracts would get locked up. And so, I enjoyed it. I thought I'm all about use cases for Ethereum, and I think it's a fantastic use case for Ethereum. I'm definitely more on the art side. Like I really enjoy the NFT side. And it's funny because I think when NFT started finally kind of taking off, more mainstream, and I mean mainstream to the Ethereum mainstream, right? Like not even to like the mainstream world. I feel like there was like a rift there, like the DeFi versus the NFT crowd. And I think that's slowly, I think DeFi people are starting to kind of realize that it's not just, a joke. And B, I think that we can find some really cool opportunities to combine the two to really kind of build on the space.
Yeah,
I spent a lot of time in 2017 in the crypto side of things, and I bought just about every platform. I was running, I think at one point I was running like 50 master nodes between like 30
master node days.
Yeah, like between 30 different tokens, and I was advisor for this coin, and I was and I enjoyed it. It was really a lot of fun. It was exhilarating, but at the end of the day, those pieces, I couldn't hang them on the wall. So like when they fell from like 98.9% in value, they just kind of sit in my blockfolio and taunt me. And I think for me, one of the major reasons that I felt a lot different about NFTs and why I've stuck through with it is I do enjoy art, and I do like to make art, and I like to promote art and collect art. But B, because even if everything were to fall apart, I still have a CryptoPunk that I can frame and put on my wall and enjoy it as something. And that to me that was like the major. I have so many friends that were like trying to talk me out of talk me into selling some of my crypto in 2017, 2018, which I didn't like. So I literally like started here, I ended up here, and then I ended up here. I didn't sell anything. I kept it all. And, you know, I would always find a really good excuse why not to sell it. Oh, because the masternode generates this much every day. And, you know, there was always like a really good reason, a really good rationalization. And I look back now at how ignorant it was and how smart my friends were to be like, this is stupid. Like, sell a little bit, just take a little bit off the table, which, you know, I didn't. But now it maybe once again, I'm ignorantly like convincing myself that this is okay, and ignorantly telling myself that what we're doing is going to change the world, as I did. And, you know, I was thinking the same thing in 2018, but it definitely feels different this time. It feels a lot different. It feels like, just art blocks as specifically, I feel like there's all these people that I've been in this NFT space with for a long time, that when like I'll remember when the singularity drop happened, and all these people that have only ever talked about flipping and traits and whatever started talking almost emotionally about the art. It's like, oh man, that makes me feel like this. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, is this the first time that these people are literally enjoying and appreciating or immersing themselves in art? And I think that there's a movement there. I think there's really something to that. Yeah,
you're not wrong at all. And it's one of those things that's hard to say that it would just go away, you know, unlike some projects, because it's, you know, number one, it's a thing. It's not, you know, a specific project that can fail per se. You know, NFT is I guess at the base it's a data structure, but realistically it's just it's a thing. I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, but you get what my point is here. It's going to evolve. You know, it may not look like it does now forever. It's definitely not going to look like it does now forever. There might be some nostalgic platforms that operate in the same principles for you know, the nerd's sake, but realistically it's going to evolve. But we are looking at a revolutionary system for identifying or verifying creation dates and ownership, and that goes way beyond art. You know, it's a huge thing. It goes all the way to, you know, real estate and voting and, you know, automotive registration. I mean, there's so many crazy potential use cases. So I want to dive into use cases outside of the art space, but before we do that, just for anybody who's not familiar with the Art Block platform, do you want to kind of give a quick rundown of how it works and what's special about on-chain art versus standard NFTs?
Yeah. I think standard NFTs are amazing, right? Because you can prove digital ownership of an asset, even if it's not necessarily hosted on chain. It's still revolutionary. And what Art Blocks is doing is, as a side effect, is putting everything kind of on chain, just because why not, right? You can store a script on chain fairly cheaply, so there's no reason not to. But what Art Blocks is doing is we're storing scripts. We're storing algorithmic scripts that generate outputs, and we store them on chain. And so, I mean, when you think that most of the things that you interact with on a website are built with JavaScript or some kind of library that uses JavaScript, everything from like an animated logo to a button that changes colors when you drag your cursor over it, that might just be CSS. These are all like web implementations, and all of these web implementations run natively on Art Blocks because all of these things can be stored as a script on the blockchain. So you store a script on the Ethereum blockchain, and an artist spends 40, 50 hours writing a script. Instead of spending 40, 50 hours with a paintbrush, you know, drawing a landscape, they spend 40, 50 hours writing a script that produces something. And then a user comes and purchases a completely random, pseudo-random, if you want to be technical, and unknown to them output from this generative algorithm script. And the result is an NFT. So what they're doing is they're purchasing an NFT that contains some variables in it, and those variables control the artwork. And once that's minted on the Art Blocks platform, it's just like every other NFT. It just becomes its own loose piece of art, or, you know, its own particle in the metaverse, is like how I like to refer to it. Like, you know, it's no longer owned by or controlled by Art Blocks as a platform. It's just its own thing. Yep.
Yeah, and it's so cool that you have the option of putting art out there that can always be generated at any point in time, that it doesn't rely on a source of the file. It doesn't rely, I mean, sure, you can upload your image to IPFS, but there's still a link to another place basically that's happening to get that image data. So it's really cool being able to actually write the image data in code form, of course, right, into the actual NFT itself, into that transaction. And it's also, we talked about earlier trying to get data into smart contracts and trying to use external data to affect what the art looks like. And while that's really difficult, I do think it's creative using the transaction hash and things like that, because it's unique every time. You obviously have all sorts of different hex characters you can choose from to create different things that are unique. It's kind of like a VIN number for a car, right? Like every little piece can do something different. And then from there, you can obviously make that even better by combining individual pieces of the hash and from different areas. And so you have like infinite amounts of variables that you can play with. They're totally random, sort of, but that's almost half the fun, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's what the artist, I think, is known for, is their ability to parse random into something that's aesthetically pleasing. And it doesn't have to be art. I go out of my way on the website, at least, to kind of promote or to kind of position art blocks as like generative content. Of course, we're in the crypto art space, and so a lot of it is art. So far, it is art. We have a curation board to make sure that all the pieces that fall within the curated drops are, something that a curated set should represent. But outside of that, I'm dying to see someone create a character in an RPG game where they mint it and it's basically the base character with some base attributes, and then from there someone can build a game from that, right? So you come here, it's like buying like funky dice at the store. It's like you come here, you buy your main character, and then you go onto some other website or some other platform and play with that character, and maybe that character can work on one game or 2 games or 3 games. It can literally just be like this open character that can exist in multiple platforms. Same with levels, with worlds. Like there's a lot of really cool projects out there that create planets and create spaceships and whatever that might be. I think that having something like that hosted on our blocks, on chain, man, we haven't even scratched the surface with that, and I think that's going to be really cool when we get to that point.
You're making me excited, because the things that have been in my head for the past 2 months about what I want to do with art blocks and outside in smart contracts, let's just say we're speaking the same language here, and maybe the end of this year or middle of this year is going to be really fun for us. So we'll have to talk about that.
Awesome, man. Well, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what you put out there.
I have this thing about vintage carts, right? Like the feel of like an NES cartridge.
Oh, yeah.
So this nostalgic thing. So that's about as much hint as I'm going to give anybody for now, since we're on a live stream. But
sweet, man. No, that's cool. I can't wait.
Yeah. I'm thinking fun stuff. Let's just say that.
Right. And then one day I'm going to actually pull this guy away from what he's doing for a couple hours, and we're going to make an NFT of mine, but that's in the works.
All you got to do is say, call me. But until then, I'm distracted.
Oh, game on. It's on national television. It's on all over YouTube right now. The professor said, Mitch, all you got to do is call and tell me to call him. I'm doing it.
Okay. I'll admit that's easier said than done, but yes, just call me. We'll make I'm excited about it though. Do you have it right there with you?
I do. You want to see it?
Yeah, show Eric. I know everybody else has seen it, but
hold on a second.
Yeah, we're gonna turn this into an NFT. I'm gonna have some fun with After Effects.
Sweet. I feel like the stage is gonna part, like the curtains are gonna part.
It should.
Do like
it should. Zoom is missing an opportunity. Turn off your background.
So I might have to turn my background off, but
yeah, I told you that, but you didn't have your headphones on, so that probably didn't work.
This is it right here.
Wow.
This is my at.
And you said you're a mill worker, right? So you built that thing?
Yeah. I'm a carpenter / cabinet maker / millwork guy / custom millwork stuff. Yeah. Metal studs, drywall, you name it. If it's carpentry, I do it.
Nice.
So that was something that, the kids, we did 1 year at Halloween. We did that one, and we did an R2D2 prop with a white 5-gallon bucket. And we used a stainless steel, mixing bowl for the head, and then did all the other stuff to it. And I built legs for it, like R2D2 legs, and that was pretty cool. I'll have to see if I can dig that up or even pictures of it, but that was a lot of fun to do. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to animate that thing. It's going to be a lot of fun.
That's going to be
I mean, it's not my my strong suit, but I have shitloads of fun with animation, and I think it's going to be, I don't know. It should be fun. It should be fun. The question is, which way are we going to go with it? Like, do we want to make it realistic, or do we want to go like crazy weird with it, like I usually do shit? So I don't know. We'll see.
And that's going to be, you know what? This is my creative flair with building it, and it's going to be your creative flair with how we do it, and it's going to be our creative flair is how we release it.
Now, if only we could cover it in chalkboard paint and send it to Australia, and Benza could chalk it up for you.
Dude, right?
Can you imagine?
That would be
that's
cool.
awesome.
Hey, don't rule that out.
It's not ruled out. It's absolutely not ruled out. Okay, so let's talk a little bit. I mentioned real estate before as far as other use cases. In the past, Pixel Offering was a project of yours. How did that kind of come into play before art blocks, and how did that inspire your transition into the on-chain art?
Yeah, well, that was my first rug pull, I guess. Like I sold a bunch of zombies so I could buy a bunch of. Wow, so you went back to the original Twitter.
We have a good research department to find some good material.
I basically I didn't start. I had nothing to do with the platform. I just got really sucked into buying the digital real estate on that platform. And I have a really good friend of mine. His name is Peter Mollick. He's a photographer, and I love his work. And I thought that it would be really cool to put art on the blockchain. And so obviously that's where I created the Twitter account, Art on Blockchain.
Right.
I bought a bunch of real estate, and I kept buying more and more. And actually, this is actually how I came across it, because it was being discussed in the CryptoPunks Discord. So I joined Discord because of the CryptoPunks. And because of the CryptoPunks Discord, I ran into this project, which I probably sunk 12 ETH into buying just like a really big chunk of land so that I could put a really beautiful piece of art. And my idea was to have like this rotating gallery that was hosted on the Ethereum blockchain. Obviously, the images were not being stored on chain, or were they? No, there's no way the images were being stored on chain back then. So, the images weren't being stored on chain, but I assume they were stored on IPFS or on a server somewhere. And then right after I did that, and it was the UI was so terrible, and putting images on there, you had to put it in little like mosaics. It was a disaster. So I finally got it going, and then a couple weeks later, I guess somebody either hacked their smart contract or they rug pulled, one or the other. I would assume that if somebody hacked them, they might have been a little bit more responsive and kind of maybe try to do something again, but instead they just kind of like I never heard from them again. So that was my first kind of proof of concept of putting art like in a blockchain setting and using blockchain, in that case, just real estate, to show what I consider to be really good art. And I was hoping to kind of swap that out once a month. I think that was before there was a lot of gallery type blockchain projects. So I'd like to think that it was one of the first, definitely not the first. I'm sure there was some crazy stuff before that, but one of the first examples of using blockchain technology to host art. And to promote an artist and to get exposure for art to a new market, someone that may not have ever heard about artist here locally.
Nice. I love that.
But yeah, I mean, from there, I just kind of like started collecting more CryptoPunks and spent 3 years waiting for someone to accidentally, I wouldn't say accidentally, but someone to think that an alien was only going to be worth like 50 ETH so that I could, snap one up. I mean, literally I spent 3.5 years in Discord waiting for the alien to come.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until like 3 months ago God, I don't even remember how long it's been anymore, but 2 months ago, the alien came, and a bunch of, NFT nerds and I jumped on it and bought it, and it was amazing. And then it took this huge relief off my shoulders because I was done. Like I mean, now I had art blocks, right? So now I no longer had this like relief because now I was involved with art blocks and I was on that server every single day. But I felt like it was this moment that started with CryptoPunks, obviously kind of migrated into real estate art, and then just I hung around just waiting for that alien to drop at a price that was affordable.
Patience will always pay off. Sometimes it takes way too long, but it will pay off.
Yeah, and it felt really reckless 2 months ago buying Alien. It was 700 and something thousand bucks between a bunch of us, obviously as part of a group. But yes, I don't know if y'all are keeping up with CryptoPunks, but yesterday an Alien sold for $7.5 million, and another one sold today for $7.5 million, right? So like it felt reckless, it felt completely, crazy. But I think, it was something I needed in my life to be a participant in one of those crazy blue things.
Yeah,
that is
you can't quit when you got that goal in mind. You got to just get there.
I mean, that's almost as crazy as this next question.
Oh God.
Oh.
If you had to replace two body parts with the same electronic object, which parts would you replace and what would you replace them with?
Jeez, man, that is a good question. I feel like all these icebreaker questions of my life have not prepared me for this. Yeah, I don't know. I would probably replace my ears with some kind of electronic device that made me hear a little bit better, because I feel like sometimes or something that would just let me understand the British language, so I didn't have to watch British TV shows with subtitles. I think that'd be really great. Like, I literally can't enjoy a TV show when someone has an accent because I don't know what they're saying. It's almost as if they're speaking another language.
Oh damn.
Man, that's a good question. I'm gonna think about it, and I'm gonna follow up with something a little.
All right. So let me ask you: Are you challenged with hearing, or do you have selective hearing challenges?
I think it's selective hearing challenges. Like, I've never. My wife will laugh at me at how I never know the lyrics to songs. Like, I cannot understand what a singer is singing. Obviously, I think I have pretty good hearing. I've played the violin since I was 5 years old. Like, I'm very active with music. I haven't played the violin so much lately, not since having children. But I think hearing is actually something that I'm pretty good at. But in terms of like understanding languages,
damn, you look pretty good for having kids.
Yeah, no, we're.
What are you saying about me? I have 3.
You have 3 children? Yeah, I have 2.
Shit,
I have a 5-year-old and a 2.5-year-old.
I have 2. Can you tell they're
nice.
both adults? Yeah, can you tell?
Can you tell? Yeah, your beard just blends right in.
Right?
Oh man, I'll be 40 in 3 months, y'all. It's
No shit.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah, you're like right between the both of us.
Mm-hmm.
Right in the middle.
Yep, right in the middle, exactly.
That's
I'm going to be 52 this year. How depressing.
That's impressive.
Is it depressing or is it impressing?
I guess it's impressive that I've made it to 52.
Yeah.
Oh shoot. No, this every day I tend to hear more and more about the NFT space, and not just from Professor here, but from being on Twitter and even in the news. It's making the news lines a lot more, and like we said earlier on in the podcast, you're seeing a lot more mainstream people jump onto the NFT boat. Like the one of the most recent ones that I can recall is the Kings of Leon, doing their album release as an NFT, and giving away a vinyl with that. I thought that was pretty sick. Awesome. And then, beyond that, it's like Matt Scherzer, right? Mm-hmm. Professor, is like semi-pro baseball player. So, and he's gotten into the NFT space quite a bit. And then Gary V, right? Gary V just dove right into the NFT space like head first.
Yep.
And I'm thinking the Winklevoss twins are probably right on his heels. If
they're pretty deep. They've been around. Yeah, they've been involved pretty deep from the beginning. They actually bought one of the original framed CryptoPunks a couple years ago.
Nice.
And they own, Gemini owns Nifty Gateway, so it's
right.
They're so far deep in NFTs that yeah.
So
it's kind of crazy. The mainstream is picking it up so hard, and it's hard not to with things like, Beeple's piece just sold for $69 million at auction. Like, it's crazy. It's insane.
I was thinking it was going to be wild if it sold for 25.
You know how many lifetimes
69 was just like, that wasn't even on the radar of this could happen.
Yeah. And not even on, I don't want to speak for the entire NFT community, but I don't think even the NFT community's radar included numbers in that range. Maybe.
No, a few people were probably throwing some crazy shit out, but I don't think anybody really believed that it would bring almost $100 million. Like, I think they were estimating 10, 20, 25. I know I saw 25 floating around, but yeah, it's crazy.
That is crazy. That's how many generations worth of wealth in one transaction. If you look at it in that respect, I know crypto is going to make a lot of people wealthy, but holy God, one piece of artwork to sell for that kind of money is just amazing.
It's probably in a historical ranking of all time.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's today.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, right?
And the
then
thing is,
next
it's
day,
crazy
and
because these records it's not like it's once in a
No.
year, like all of a sudden something new crazy happens. It's like fucking weekly.
right. That's
I
what I'm
mean,
saying.
yesterday-
Right now, that's a record, but
Yesterday, the
Yep.
record was hit with the alien at $7.5 million, and that blew people's minds. And
Yep.
that was yesterday, right? And so
Right.
today, almost 10 times the record. I mean, I there has to be a ceiling, right? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is it a ceiling or is it just like, I mean, because everybody says bubble, and clearly if you look at it all, sure, there's a bubble. It doesn't mean it's the master bubble and it's going to pop and everything falls out from under it, but certainly there's corrections in any market, and NFTs are no exception. But the question is, how high does it go before it corrects? How hard is it going to correct, and does it last long? I mean, it's just a matter of that next paradigm shift.
I've told people, like, it's too late to buy a punk. Punks are $300. Like, don't even, like, they're just insanely expensive right now. Like, and then definitely don't buy a punk right now. They're $1,000. Like, this is insane. And $4,000 for a punk? Are you absolutely nuts? Like, no, you don't buy a punk right now. Like, this is a crazy.
you should have bought it at 300.
And $42,000 late, and I've gotten to share this story before, but like I've gifted like about 15 CryptoPunks over the course of the years. And at first, like, one of my favorites is I gifted my dad one in a white elephant exchange in my office. And I'll never forget the one of my warehouse guys that literally, like, my dad got the $20 bill, and then the warehouse dude got like the CryptoPunk, and he was like, what the hell is this? And so you get to steal from somebody else. And so he stole the $20 bill from my dad, and my dad ended up with the CryptoPunk. And in my mind, and I haven't really come out of the crypto closet, like, to my whole office. I mean, they kind of know that I'm into, and obviously I was giving a CryptoPunk during a white elephant gift, but in my mind I was like, man, that was a huge mistake. And so in this last run up, it's like it's been sitting in a frame at my parents' house, and every time I come over, I'm like, hey Dad, it's worth about $100 now. Hey, it's worth about $200 now.
Hey, it's worth like $7 million.
Yeah, and recently it came up, and I was like, Dad, it's worth like $10,000. And him and my brother got together and decided to list it for like 23 ETH. And I was like, okay, guys, like, calm down. I'm glad that you're super bullish. He's like, well, I don't want to sell it. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, that's a good price. Like, if you really don't want to sell it. And then I was sitting there watching Discord, because I'm a nerd and sit in that Discord, and I saw my dad's punk go for like 40-something thousand bucks, and I was like, holy crap! Like, that was the $20 swap for like $46,000 CryptoPunk. That's just one of those things where I would never want them to hear this story because I feel bad. But man, yeah, that's pretty epic. In fact, over the course of a weekend, I helped 5 people sell CryptoPunks that I had gifted them with no hard feelings at all. Like, when I gifted them, I'm like, don't sell this thing ever, because I believe in it. But when it was a car, it's
right.
like, I not only encourage you to sell it, but I will walk you through the process. And it was nuts because it was around the Gary Vee time that he had just kind of gotten in. So literally you would list it, and 2 minutes later, bam, it'd be gone. So, they'd listed a little higher, maybe because they were getting cold feet about selling it. And I'd get off the phone with them because, you had to walk them through the whole process of putting in the private key, because I would always stick it in the frame and stuff. And a minute later, a text like, it's sold. I'm just like, it was really wild. It was a really fun weekend. I feel like, giving was top notch that year.
That's awesome.
So the first pair of sneakers that you bought as a collectible, the Lego sneakers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool as shit. I didn't know those existed, first of all. Second, Fiwo did some shoes. Did you see that? Are you into that?
I haven't actually explored that so well. I'm really into Legos, and my kids are really into Legos. And if you walk into my house, it's just like a sea of Legos. It's actually really ridiculous. I actually paid a premium on those, right? Because like I missed the drop, and this is kind of before art blocks, right? So I didn't even understand the concept of a drop, but it was the first time that I bought something that I was probably never going to wear, and probably the only time I will ever buy something that I'm never going to wear, because I'm very practical with clothing.
Yeah.
And it was the first time that I ever bought something like that at a premium. Usually I'm like, oh man, I missed that. And it felt so good. I remember opening the box and being like, this is amazing. Hopefully, I get to like put this in a glass case one day. But I think that NFT shoes that are just NFTs in the ecosystem. I'm not there yet. Obviously in crypto voxels and stuff, you can stick NFT ware into the ecosystem, and I think that's pretty cool. But I haven't gotten too far in that yet.
Yeah, here there. We're looking at this is kind of, it's sort of random, but kind of popped in my mind. We were talking about, maybe I shouldn't say this on a live stream so nobody runs with the idea. I don't know. We have a unique idea for modifying our merch store. I'll leave it at that, but it'll involve some NFT related stuff. So I think we're gonna have some fun with that.
Yeah, I think you should leave that here.
But yeah,
leave that.
We've got some unique challenges to overcome, but I think when we get there, it'll be fun. Just keep an eye out for that, everybody.
Big things coming for sure.
Exactly.
For sure. So have you been to any meetups? Do you have any desire to go to any conventions? Have you been to any conventions, stuff like that? What do you do in the space outside of being on the digital platforms?
Yeah, I mean, with COVID, I haven't really done anything.
Right, obviously,
I met
none of us.
A bunch of nerds at NFT.NYC in 2019. It was one of these things where it's like, man, I do a lot of traveling for work. I go to conferences for work. I sell tile for a living, and so I spend a lot of time at conferences, and I also spend more time away from my family than I would like to spend. And so the idea of kind of adding one more conference in 2019 was a little bit much. And I went for one night, right? So it was a kind of a hectic trip. But I went to NFT NYC. I met all the people that I think are cool today, or most of them. I met the guys that started the CryptoPunks project, and I talked to a lot of people that were involved with CryptoKitties, and I thought it was pretty great. I thought it was a pretty good experience. Met all the OpenSea dudes. Man, they're responsible, I think, single-handedly for like most of the success in the NFT space.
No joke.
But outside of that, I haven't. Yeah. Before that, I actually went to a conference in 2018. I went to a conference in Manchester. Was it 2018? Yeah, called CoinFest, to go meet the founders of the cryptocurrency called Monetary Unit, which I had just taken a serious deep dive into in 2017. I mean, I literally dove headfirst into that crypto, and that was most of my master nodes that I was running. And I mean, they were generating a pretty significant amount of income. So I was like, I need to go meet these guys. And so I flew to Manchester. I live in Texas, so it was, kind of a random thing. And that's actually where I met the guys that started developing art blocks for me. A duo, James and Andy, a company called Block Rocket Tech, they're just super genius, awesome developers. So it was pretty cool that I went, because I went to meet, more on the crypto side. I do see a very serious distinction between like crypto and NFTs, and came back with like a really great NFT relationship.
I love that. That's awesome. I got to ask you a weird question. Even though Mitch has stepped away, he's going to be upset that he missed the answer for this. But this is an important one. Let's say you're a mad scientist and money and ethics aren't an issue. What weird scientific experiment are you going to run?
Wow. And you guys' questions, I should probably have watched this podcast a little bit more.
Yeah, we like to come out of left field. I tell you that much.
Woo. I mean, the other day someone asked me my favorite TV show, and I don't watch TV, and so I said like Real Housewives, just because I couldn't come up with anything, and I've watched that with my wife. So, and last night my wife was like,
I like that.
It's kind of weird that you said that. And I'm like, well, I don't even know what TV shows are out there. Science experiment. Yeah, I don't know. I keep going back to like the dollar bill attached to like a fishing wire in the middle of the street and like pulling it when someone goes to grab it. I that's kind of where my brain is right now. Or like,
I mean, it's hilarious. I'll tell you that much. You can have a YouTube. I mean, not that doesn't already exist, but you could just sit there and just do that all day long, 24/7. Put a live stream of you just doing that. Let's see what happens.
And those videos were always the best. Like when someone would just get so angry and like run after the camera person. I feel like, like you said, like if I was an evil scientist, like I feel like that would be a nice experiment. If I could somehow make an NFT correlation there, I think that'd be pretty great.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Or try gluing a quarter down to the concrete.
Yes,
that's always fun.
Yes, that's fun. There must be like a psychological transition period where like people didn't really know, and so they fell for stuff more easily, And then, social media became more prominent, and YouTube and that kind of stuff, and watching stuff. And then like more and more people start to see this shit. And so of course the pranks get weirder, but less people fall for that stuff. But at the same time, you see so many people falling for the same shit. You're like, how have you not seen this before?
I definitely wouldn't touch a dollar bill if I saw it on the floor, because my first assumption would be that there's someone holding a string on the other side, as demented as that might be. Like,
okay, that just made a thought come to my head that I haven't ever thought about before. But it's kind of sad that you're never going to be able to pick up like an Ethereum penny that you found on the ground.
This is very true, man. It's a really sad thing. There'll be some,
although airdrops fill that bill, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
Man, airdrops fill a lot of voids in our lives these days, right? How epic is it? Like, I don't know how airdrops go on other blockchains or just in crypto in general, unless it's like a new blockchain. But how crazy is it that like just for being around last year and slightly participating in the Ethereum blockchain, people were gifted. I mean, I personally ended up with airdrops like in the tens of thousands of dollars, right? Just from participating in Uniswap. And like, how insane is that? Right. The Rary gift, the airdrop, and the Uniswap airdrop, the 1inch airdrop, like all these things, it can't be sustainable long term because there will be too many people, and it's kind of a note to how few people were actually in the space. Like, I can't remember how many it was. It was like 2 or 4 or 20,000, however many people got like the Uniswap airdrop. Like, that's still a number that you can still process in your head.
And the funny thing is, in the crypto space, it still, in some cases, kind of feels big. It's still a relatively sizable airdrop.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Imagine the work
tiny outside of
on that. Yeah. But like, if you think now, it's like if you were going to do an airdrop to everyone that has a credit card, right? Like, eventually, if the reason that we're having this podcast is that the future will kind of involve this. Like, that's what we're talking in 5 or 10 years. It's like, you can't do an airdrop because you're basically sending something to like 1 billion people. And one of the things that I tell people, because, a lot of my friends, I think the first time Ethereum and crypto kind of collapsed, people were kind of tinkering with it with me, and they were sticking around and enjoying it, but then like it all went away. And I think a lot of people just kind of like, they went on with their lives, but like I never stopped, right? Like to me, crypto, and especially Ethereum and smart contracts, has been my hobby 20-30 hours a week for the last 3.5 years. And I think one of the things about art blocks and just what's happening right now in Ethereum that is incredibly validating is that all of these people are now like, multiple of people have now said, hey, look, man, like, you stuck through it and you're still here and this is still here. And now it feels real, because it's not like, you were there and then like it went away and then you started again. Like, you were there during the good times, during the bad times. If you guys have been around that long, like, you've been here excited, just as excited during the good times and during the bad times. And now, as we are in these really solid good times, you're getting free stuff handed to you for doing absolutely nothing or doing very little. And I don't know how sustainable that is, but like, it still makes me want to ask people to join and like participate and experience this. It's like a surreal thing to be airdropped $1,000 worth of Uni. Like like that many people at one time in the CryptoPunks Discord. Like, one guy was like, hey, claim your Uni, and everyone's like, scam. And then someone's like, no, this isn't a scam. And it's like, the whole Discord is blowing up with people being like, oh my gosh, I got free tokens.
I can't believe this is real. What do you mean I have like 3 ETH in my wallet that worth of Uni token? Like, it's crazy. Did you get your paint airdrop that just happened from Mural?
I did. Yeah, I got
Speaking of,
paint.
It just keeps coming, man. It's so fun to just play with these new projects, and then you kind of get rewarded for being early a little bit. And like you say, the airdrop thing will eventually become trickier, although I think that as the tech evolves, it becomes less of a problem to airdrop to that many users. On a proof of work consensus, obviously you have the issue of gas fees and just the time, everything it's not feasible to airdrop to like 20 million people.
Sure.
If you move to a successful proof of stake system, which obviously has its own massive sets of faults and problems, which is why we're not already using it.
Right.
We're trying to, but that's, ETH 2.0 is still a ways away. But it becomes easier. So it's just going to be interesting to see how that stuff evolves, as these new platforms come out, because just like with Mural and a lot of them, like with Uniswap, you don't even have to have, they're different in that Uniswap use their own user base to airdrop to, whereas Mural, they dropped to known crypto artists by compiling a list of people who had participated in other platforms. So you can conceivably target your airdrop audience based on other platforms that are competitors, which is what's happening, and just give them your token. And then suddenly now they have everything that they can go use your service. It's like free marketing in a way.
Kind of like
free marketing,
Comcast sending you $200 to switch to a different cable service, really.
Right?
I mean,
yeah, except they're not smart enough to figure out that logic. So we have to wait for the new people to figure that out, because that's what's happening now. So yeah, it's crazy how it evolves, but I'm excited to see what even just the next 3 months have in store.
Oh my God, the next 3 months are going to be mind blowing. I'd say anything that happens in the next 12 months is going to be mind blowing. Regardless of direction and regardless of what part of the space you're looking at.
Yeah, I actually look forward to things kind of calming down a little bit too. I feel like innovation happens more when things are a little bit more stable and when we're experiencing homeostasis instead of like this crazy.
But to go through like 3 years of total bullshit and make it through an incredible bear market, right? And a crypto winner. We got to have a little bit of fun for a little bit longer.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and we are having fun.
Right?
Yeah,
there's plenty of volatility left. Don't worry.
Right on. Right on. Oh, my God. This was so fun. This was so much fun having you on the show tonight. And we really hope you enjoyed it as well, Eric.
Did. And thanks for letting me delay it 2 times.
Oh, hey, you know what?
I can't believe you guys stuck with me.
That happened.
Honestly, it's usually us having to delay it. So there's no sweat, man.
I think it's a pretty good balance of that. Yeah, exactly. And
got you.
Everything in life, and we realize this over time, is that everything happens for a reason. So this was delayed for timing purposes for a reason. We just haven't seen it yet, right? So you gotta keep that positive mindset, saying, all those other things happen for reasons that caused it to happen today, that caused it to happen right now, and the people watching that were able to watch got to see it, and that's the important part. So. Awesome. Right on, man. And I definitely look forward to interacting with you more in the space and in the future.
Likewise.
And thank you again. And hopefully you enjoyed the podcast and shout it out, man.
You guys are great.
All right, cool.
Yeah, man, this was a lot of fun. We're definitely gonna have to do this again for sure. We might get you back on for a pre-recorded episode in the near future too. We can kind of dig a little bit deeper and get into some of the tech a little bit harder. So
sweet.
Right on.
Heck yeah.
And to everybody watching the show tonight, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing our tweets. Thank you for your support that you give us every day. If it wasn't for you guys, if it wasn't for the community that supports us, we would have no one to share it with. So, bless you guys for all your support. Spread the love and stay tuned, because there are some big things coming from the Crypto Campfire over the next couple of weeks, let alone the next few months. So stay tuned, guys, and we'll keep bringing it to you the best we can.
Hell yeah. Thanks again, Eric. It's good to have you on.
Take it easy, guys.
Take it easy, guys.
I'll take care.
Peace.
See ya.